Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for being here. Today, I'm sharing a deeply personal story, one that changed the way I see family, trust, and loyalty. This isn't easy to talk about, but it's important to tell it exactly as it happened. Please stay with me until the end.
I stood there in the lobby of Calder Innovations. Glass walls, brushed steel, the company logo floating behind the reception desk like it had always floated since I was 19 and soldering circuit boards in the back warehouse, and swiped my card again. Red light. I frowned and tried a third time. Nothing. The security guard I'd known for 8 years shifted in his chair. Miss Calder? I looked at him. It's not reading. He didn't meet my eyes. It's not supposed to. My stomach tightened. What do you mean, not supposed to? He swallowed. I got a notice this morning. Your access was revoked. Revoked. Like a stolen credit card. Like I wasn't the person who designed half the systems running behind those walls. I'm the CTO, I said. He nodded quickly. I know. I can call upstairs. I don't need you to call, I said, already walking toward the elevator bank. The turnstiles didn't open. I tried my badge again. Still red. The receptionist, new, young, nervous, looked at her screen and then at me. I'm sorry, ma'am, you're not authorized past the lobby. Ma'am. That word felt heavier than it should have. Get my brother, I said. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Or my father. She hesitated. I can't. My chest buzzed. You can't? I was told to direct all inquiries to legal. Legal. The word rang in my ears. I turned back to the guard. Open the gate. He stood halfway out of his chair, torn. Miss Calder, I really don't want to. I built the biometric lock on that gate. Open it. His jaw tightened. I can't. Something in his voice said he meant it. I stepped back, slow, pulled out my phone, called my father. Straight to voicemail. Called my brother. Ring, ring, voicemail. I stood there while employees streamed past me. People I'd mentored, people whose bonuses I'd signed off on, people who wouldn't meet my eyes. One of the junior engineers, Kevin, slowed. Hey, Lena, you good? I looked at him. Do I look good? He winced. They had a meeting early. Board plus your family. My throat went dry. What kind of meeting? He shrugged helplessly. They just said restructuring. Restructuring. I laughed. Once. It came out sharp. Of course. The elevator doors slid open. My brother, Marcus, stepped out. Tailored timing. Tailored suit. Coffee in hand. Phone tucked under his arm. He froze when he saw me. Lena. I walked toward him. Why can't I get upstairs? He glanced at the guard. Can we talk outside? No. His jaw clenched. Not here. Right here, I said, because I've got a design review in 20 minutes, and apparently my badge thinks I don't work here. A couple people slowed. Marcus lowered his voice. You've been removed from operational roles. The words didn't land at first. Removed? For now. For now? He sighed like I was being difficult. The board voted. When? This morning. I stared at him. I'm on the board. Not anymore. My ears rang. You can't just... Dad's voice cut in from behind him. Actually, we can. I turned. Frank Calder. Founder. My father. The man who taught me to code before I could legally drive. He stood with 2 lawyers I recognized. Corporate. Expensive. Dad, I said, what is this? He didn't hug me, didn't ask how my weekend was, didn't even say my name again. Your brother will take over your responsibilities. I run R&D. You ran R&D. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Why? He exchanged a look with one of the lawyers. Strategic differences. I stared. That's it? Marcus shifted. It's not personal. I laughed again, louder. That's the dumbest lie I've ever heard. Dad's face hardened. Lower your voice. Why am I locked out of my own building? You no longer have clearance. I own 30% of this company. 1%, the lawyer corrected gently.
I blinked. What? Dad looked at the floor. You signed the dilution last year. No, I didn't. Marcus cleared his throat. You approved the expansion funding. That was for manufacturing. It included equity adjustments. My hands curled. You slid that into a 40-page packet and didn't flag it. Dad snapped. You should have read it. I trusted you. The words fell out before I could stop them. The lobby went quiet. Dad straightened. This is business. I felt something crack behind my ribs. I built the polymer cooling system. Lena, I designed the autonomous diagnostics. You were compensated. I wrote the original firmware. Marcus cut in, and the company paid you a salary. A salary? I stared at him. You're standing in a building wired with my ideas. He exhaled. You're emotional. That one hurt more than the rest. Where's my lab? The lawyer stepped forward. Your employment was terminated effective immediately. The word terminate rang like a gunshot. You can collect personal items later with an escort. I looked at my father. Say something. He didn't. Dad! His eyes flicked up. This is final. My throat tightened. Why now? Silence. Too long. Marcus glanced at him. Dad sighed. You were becoming unpredictable. I laughed weakly. Unpredictable? You questioned acquisitions. They were bad acquisitions. You challenged board decisions. They were stupid. Dad's eyes narrowed. You undermined me in front of investors. I corrected you. Marcus muttered. Same thing. I stared at both of them. You kicked me out. Dad folded his arms. For the good of the company. I nodded slowly. Okay. Marcus blinked. Okay? I turned toward the door. If that's what you want. The guard looked relieved when I walked past him. Outside, the winter air slapped my face. I stood on the sidewalk staring at the building I'd practically grown up in. Glass reflecting clouds. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Don't make this ugly. I typed back. You already did. I walked to my car, sat there for a long time, didn't start it, just stared at my hands. Because here was the part they didn't understand. I didn't just work for Calder Innovations. I'd been documenting everything since I was 23. Every prototype, every breakthrough, every late night that turned into a patent application I let the company file under its name because we were family. Because Dad promised we'd sort equity later. Because Marcus said, relax, you'll always be taken care of. I laughed under my breath. I pulled open my glove compartment. Inside was a flash drive taped to the roof of it, black, unlabeled. I held it between my fingers. Inside were drafts, original schematics, emails, time-stamped CAD files, versions with my digital signature embedded in the metadata, patent disclosures I'd written before legal ever touched them. I'd started keeping them after I noticed my name disappearing from documents, after inventor quietly changed to engineering team, after Marcus started sitting in on my meetings and leaving with my notes, after Dad told me, you don't need credit, you've got family. I started the car, pulled into traffic, went home. Except my house key didn't work either. I stood on my own porch staring at the lock. Tried again, nothing. I rattled it, dead. I stepped back and looked through the window. Boxes, cardboard, stacked by the door. My chest tightened. My phone rang. Dad. I answered. You changed the locks. His voice was calm. We'll have your things delivered. You don't get to do that. It's company property. It's my house. It's in the trust. Silence. My hands shook. You kicked me out of my job and my home in one morning. We're protecting assets. I'm an asset now? He didn't answer. The line went dead. I stood there with my phone pressed to my ear. Neighbors walked by. I waved stiffly, drove away again. This time, I didn't know where I was going. I ended up at a motel off the freeway that smelled like bleach and old carpet. Sat on the edge of the bed, plugged the flash drive into my laptop, the screen filled with folders, patent drafts, early prototypes, email trails, timestamps. I clicked one. My own handwriting scanned, my own voice in a memo. Version 3, cooling lattice adjusted to prevent fracture at high load. My eyes burned. They didn't just fire me, they erased me. And then my email chimed. Unknown sender, subject line, unknown inventorship. I stared at it. Didn't open it yet, because nobody used that word unless they meant something very specific. I closed the laptop, lay back on the motel bed, stared at the stained ceiling, and smiled for the first time that day. Because if they were cleaning me out this fast, it meant they were scared. And fear makes people sloppy. They thought they'd locked me out. They thought I'd walk away. They thought the patents belonged to them. They were wrong. Very wrong. And I hadn't even opened the email yet. I waited 10 full minutes before I opened the email. Not because I was afraid, because I wanted my hands to stop shaking. The motel heater rattled like it might fall out of the wall, blowing air that smelled faintly metallic. I sat cross-legged on the bed with my laptop balanced on my knees, the glow from the screen lighting up the ugly wallpaper. Inventorship. No sender name, just an address that looked auto-generated. Strings of numbers, a generic domain. I clicked it. The message was short, too short. Lena Calder, you should check patent families US 11/984,223 and US 11/991,047. Then check the provisional filings from 18 months ago. Notice anything missing? A friend. My stomach tightened. Those numbers, I knew them. I didn't even have to look them up. The adaptive thermal lattice, the self-calibrating sensor grid, the two systems investors drooled over, the ones Marcus had paraded at CES last year like party tricks, the ones Dad called company breakthroughs. I opened a browser and logged into the USPTO search portal with muscle memory, typed the first number, result loaded, title, Dynamic Polymer Cooling Matrix, assignee, Calder Innovations, Inc., inventors, Marcus Calder, Frank Calder, Evan Brooks. Evan, our materials director. My jaw tightened. I scrolled. No me. I pulled up the second filing. Same story, different title, same 3 names. I sat very still. Then I pulled up my own folders. Patent drafts, searched by keyword, cooling matrix. Dozens of files appeared. Early versions, iteration logs, a Word document labeled Disclosure Initial Lena 0421.docx. Creation date, 3 years ago. Modified 47 times. All by me. I cross-checked the provisional filing date from the patent office. 2 months after that. I exhaled slowly through my nose. They didn't just forget me, they replaced me. I scrolled back to the email. A friend, sure. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, again. I stared at it, let it ring twice, then answered. Hello? A man's voice, calm, low, filtered through what sounded like a cheap headset. You opened it. I didn't ask how he knew. Who is this? You can call me someone who reads filings for a living. For the USPTO? Closer, to people who sue the USPTO. My pulse picked up. You're a patent attorney. Used to be. Why contact me? Because you're about to get steamrolled. I leaned back against the headboard. Already. No, he said. They think it has. Big difference. Silence stretched. I said, how did you get my motel email address? I didn't. My skin prickled. I got the address you used to register your personal CAD license in grad school. I swallowed. That account's private. Not to people who know where to look. I closed my eyes for a second. Why now? Because your brother just hired 3 litigation firms in 12 hours. My jaw tightened. For what? For when you scream. I smiled beside myself. Too late. He exhaled. I don't sound surprised? I am. I'm just efficient. A pause. Good. You'll need that. I didn't ask for your help. I know, but you're going to. Why? He hesitated. Then, because I represented someone your father buried 15 years ago. My spine went rigid. Buried how? Financially, reputation-wise, forced him to sell patents for pennies before Calder Innovations had a real name. I stared at the far wall. You're holding a grudge? I'm holding precedent. He continued. Your files, metadata, timestamps, original disclosures, that's gold, but only if you move before they lock you into arbitration. I blinked. Arbitration clause? Buried in your employment contract. I cursed under my breath. They'll claim everything you touched belongs to them. And it doesn't? Not automatically. Not if you can prove conception before assignment, and not if they misrepresented inventorship to the patent office.
My chest felt tight. That's fraud. Yes. Federal? Yes again. I sat up straighter. So what do you want? He didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was careful. Access. To what? To whatever else you kept. I stared at the flash drive on the nightstand. How do I know you're not working for them? You don't. Great. But if I were, your father would have served you already. That was annoyingly fair. And, he added, they wouldn't be pretending you don't exist. Pretending? They haven't announced your termination publicly. I frowned. What? Check their site. I opened Calder's homepage. Leadership tab. CEO, Frank Calder. COO, Marcus Calder. CTO, still me, Lena Calder. Photo, bio, awards. My stomach flipped. They're keeping me up there. Because pulling you triggers questions. Patent disputes get ugly when an inventor vanishes. So they're buying time. Yes. I closed the laptop slowly. They're going to file something. They already are. My phone buzzed again. Text from Marcus. Marcus, we need to talk. I showed the screen to nobody. They're circling. The man said, and now so are you. I laughed once. Low. Sharp. Funny. I was circling before they noticed. Silence. Then he said, you didn't just keep copies, did you? No. What else? I stared at the wall, at the ugly floral pattern, at the crack running through the plaster. I kept notebooks. Paper. Old school. Good. Why? Because juries love ink. I closed my eyes. You still haven't told me your name. Another pause. Not yet. Where are you? 5 states away. Convenient? For now. I exhaled. So what's step 1, mysterious ex-lawyer? He didn't hesitate. File your own provisional patents immediately on everything they filed without you. They already have. Doesn't matter. Earlier conception dates plus corroboration shifts leverage. And step 2? Put your father and brother on notice. My lips curved. Through you? No. Why not? Because they'd ignore me. So how? He said.
by filing an inventorship correction request with the USPTO. My heart jumped. That's public. Yes. They'll lose their minds. Correct. I smiled wider. And step 3? Don't go home. I blinked. Why? Because they're going to come looking for those notebooks. The heater rattled again, louder this time. I glanced at the door without meaning to. They don't know about them. He let out a slow breath. They know about something, or they wouldn't be moving this fast. I reached over and slid the deadbolt. Where would they think I kept them? Your house. I laughed bitterly. They locked me out. Your car. I froze. How do you know about my car? He didn't answer. That told me enough. Instead, he said, check your mirrors when you leave tomorrow. I wasn't planning on leaving. You are now. I closed my eyes. They kicked me out of the family business. And now, he said softly, they're about to find your name on every patent. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, then at the flash drive, then at my laptop. Outside, a semi roared past on the freeway, shaking the thin motel walls. I got up and went to the window, peeked through the curtains. Parking lot. A few sedans. A pickup. A dark SUV idling 2 spaces from my car. Lights off, engine running. I didn't recognize it. I stepped back